Today I'm going to show you how I achieved this warm, neutral, natural look using this palette. This is the Morphe 350 Supernatural Glow. Mine is actually called Nature Glow, but mine has a little age on it. This is a 35 pan eyeshadow palette. It has 14 shimmers and 21 mattes, and it is such a beautiful formula. I am a fan of Morphe's formula. So if you would like to see me do a makeup look that's going to transition you from late summer into early fall, a warm, neutral, and natural look, then stick around. Hi, I'm Andi. Welcome or welcome back. I'm really happy that you're here. Bringing you in a little closer so you can see. I already have my eyes primed in the Ulta Beauty Matte Veil Longwear Eye Primer. Love this. It's great. None of these have shade names, so you're going to see a graphic on the screen on which shade I'm using. As always, you don't need this palette. You can dive into your collection and find a warm neutral palette that's going to work for you. My graphic was taken a while back, but this shade has a beautiful, shiny pan in it. Yes. As you can see, that's the shade that I use the most in this. And I'm just going to put that in my transition area. This is going to be a pretty simple look. I don't do windshield wiper motions until all of this is laid down. I like to pat, make sure that it's not skimming over my eyelid texture. And I feel my eyes already watering. I don't know if it's the season, but my eyeshadow, usually the shimmers or even sometimes the mattes on the inner part of my eye, will not stay. And it's because my eye waters when I start doing my makeup, and that is just a recent thing. If you are someone that likes to set down your eye primer, you can put this all over your mobile lid if you want. I really like using this shade as my first step. That's why it has such a huge pan in it, because it is a really nice transition shade. This is just a Wet n Wild brush. Nothing fancy, but I love them. Going in with another Wet n Wild brush, a shade that's a little bit darker, just a little bit, and I'm going to go midway on my eyelid to the outer corner and just blend all of that in, because we want a nice seamless blend. And just take your time to blend out, blend in, blend up. Doing all of this is why I usually do my eyes first, because you can get a little messy with it if you want. And then you can just clean it up later. But I don't have much fallout from this. This is such a nice everyday palette. My daughter bought me this years and years ago. This is my, it's not quite my oldest palette. It's the oldest palette that I still use. I have a couple of palettes that are older that I keep for sentimental reasons. But my daughter bought me this with her brand new job. She saved up and bought it for me for my birthday. By using a shade that is slightly darker than the one that you used first, there's not as much blending involved than if you just went in with your dark outer corner and went all ham with it. So I like doing this and then going in with the dark outer corner and just taking that time to blend. This brush I got from an Ipsy BoxyCharm. It's from Beauty for Real. And we're going into that darker brown shade. I'm going to dab a little bit of it off because I don't want it to be really saturated. And I'm just going in this area right here. And I'm just blending as I go. And making sure that it is seamless. See, just a little bit of a darkness if you like a smokier eye, you could go a little darker and you could bring it out a little bit more and make that area a little bit more saturated if you want to. As old as this palette is, it still performs beautifully. I really love this palette a lot. Now I'm going to take a much fluffier brush. I think this is a dough color. And I'm going to go into that lightest shade up in the corner, and I'm just going to blend out this top line here. And then I'm also going to take that and I'm also going to go into this inner corner and blend all of that in. See this line right here? I always have that. It's not a wrinkle. I don't know why that happens. Just one of my little idiosyncrasies with makeup. Now I'm just going to go in and clean up that outer corner a little bit. And if you just like a nice matte look, then you can be done. You can be completely done with this. But that's not me. I like a shimmer. So I am going to go in with a glitter primer. I always use a glitter primer underneath shimmers. Not because they need it, but because it helps with creasing and it helps the longevity of your shimmers. Helps them stay longer. It will help them be a little bit more impactful. It's funny, prior to, I don't know, last year maybe, I didn't really use a glitter primer unless I was using a like chunkier shimmer or something that has more texture to it. And I did that to keep it from falling out on my face. But I've started using a glitter primer every time I do a shimmer, which is every time I do makeup. And it really does help them stay longer, helps them pop a little bit more. And I really like the NYX glitter primer. Honestly, I've only used 2 glitter primers, and it's the NYX and the Devinah Specular. The Devinah Specular is fantastic. And because I'm rationing it, I only use that when I use my more special shimmers, the more textured, chunkier, liquid metal type shimmers. And for everyday shimmers, I just pull this out. I finished one of these this year. This is a newer one, and I will continue to repurchase it as long as they make it. I think we're going to stay in the warm category, the warm side, which this over here is a little bit warmer. I think for the outer part of the lid, I'm going to go into this coppery shade in the corner here, and I'm just going to tap that on my lid, just on the outer to mid part of my lid, just like that. These are not boom in your face shimmers. They are nice shimmers. They are pretty shimmers. And then I'm going to go in with that lighter copper shade, and I'm going to put that in the front part of my lid. It is such a pretty shade. This is probably my favorite shimmer in this palette because it is just so pretty. And then I'm going to take my middle finger and blend those two together so that there's a nice seamless blend. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of the lighter on your finger and just blend that. I know that some people don't like Morphe because of their business practices, and while those people are no longer in power, I know that sometimes there's a stigma that still hangs on an eyeshadow brand for things that they've done or whatever. I don't really put much stock in that. There are some brand owners or influencers attached to brands that are messy, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you use those brands or when you think about using those brands. And my thing is, so don't use them. If you don't want to use them, don't use them. If you do want to use them, and don't be apologetic about it. It's a personal choice. So I do love Morphe, and I do have several palettes. I have 2 of the 35 pan palettes. I have a couple of the 9 pan. I have one 18 pan that I will bring out in the winter. I have not yet used it because it's more of a fall winter, late fall winter palette for me, because you know I'm a seasonal girl. And so that's my feeling on makeup brands. If you like them, use them. If you don't like them, don't use them. But don't shame people that do use them. There are makeup brands that I refuse to use that I see people using online. I don't hate them for it. I don't get on their comments, blow up their comment section because they're using that brand. I just don't watch the video. It's personal choice. Use what you like. Don't use what you don't like. Don't shame people for using what they like. That is my motto. That is my way of thinking. I think I'm pretty much done with the eyes now, so we're going to move on to the face. I might come back and do underneath the eye, inner corner, all of that. So we're just going to move on to the face. I moved you back a little bit more. Right now, I am taking my e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter, and I am putting that on my little palette here. It's just a tile that I got from Home Depot. There was an open box. I asked if I could buy one. She gave it to me. So that is nice. Or you could use a soap dish from the Dollar Tree. I just like to have something to mix everything on because I do mix my foundations. Now I'm going in with my e.l.f. CC Cream in 280 in. I always want to call this a W because it does look warm on my skin, but neutrals look warm on my skin. I am a cool toned person. So then what I do is I go in with the color corrector from LA Girl and I just put one pump there, and I'll show it to you before I actually mix it up. That's what it looks like before I mix it. I just make sure that it's nice and blended. That blue is all blended in. That blue pigment is a game changer for me. It makes things so much easier when I buy a foundation, because a lot of foundations, like I just said, they are very warm on me, and this is what it looks like when it's done. I really love those pigments because if something is too warm for you, you can cool it down. If it's too dark for you, you can lighten it. If it's too cool for you, they do have a more yellowish looking one that you can warm it up if you have a more warmer skin tone. But choosing a foundation is almost impossible for me. I go on the shade finder on Ulta. It's pretty helpful. Sometimes it is still a little too warm because I'm putting in the foundations that I'm currently using, and some of those are a little too warm. I find when I deviate from that shade finder that it goes wrong for me. So I need to just listen to them, buy what they tell me to buy, and then if I have to cool it down a little bit, I can do that. I'm going to do my primer first, obviously. Going in with the Sephora Smooth and Blur. I'm just opening this for the first time, so I've never used it. So we're going to use it together, and I'm going to see what I think. Oh, it's tinted. It is tinted. So we're going to see what I think of it. It does have a silicone base to it, I believe. It feels like it has a silicone base to it. But not... It actually feels really nice. I like it. I think I like the way it feels. It's very soft. It feels very smooth, very soft. I'm not a fan of the silicone-based primers. My favorite, which is the Revolution Pore Blur, which I just use on my T-zone. It doesn't feel silicone-y. I just started using the Professional Light. This burned my face, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm going to use it one more time, not today, because I'm trying to keep this all affordable. I'm going to use it again to see if maybe there was a different reason why it burned, because there's no reason why it would burn. I've used Professional primers before. I used the original of this. I've used the original. This feels really nice. The Sephora feels really, really nice. So yeah, I'm not sure why this burned my face. Like I could feel it burning my face. Now it went away. I didn't have to go wash it off. I was waiting to see if I had to go wash it off. I didn't. And it worked lovely because I kept it on. I did my makeup, whatever. It did stop burning. But burning is not a good thing for your skin. So, but I am going to try it one more time and see if it burned or if maybe it was just reacting with something else I had on my face. I don't know. You guys, I don't know. But this Sephora is nice. I always put a little bit more like around my nose. This is really nice. I got this when Sephora has the Sephora collection 30% off. That's when I purchase and try new things from Sephora, because even their Sephora collection brand is a little on the higher side. It's not quite drugstore pricing, but it is a little on the higher side. But there are things that I want to try from them, so I will wait till they're 30% off. I do recommend their liners. I think their liners are the only thing that I have tried from them. So I just like to try new things. When they have them 30% off is when I will buy them. I will not buy them full price. Now I'm going in with the AOA Studios. This is the Top Secret Concealer. I really like this. I just use this to spot conceal. I don't really put this underneath my eyes. I probably could, but I haven't. What the heck? Let's try it. Let's try it. I just finished my color corrector that I usually use. So we'll just do that. And I'm going to keep that. I'm going to let that set for a little bit and let it kind of dry down a little bit before I blend it out and start putting things on top of it. Being over 50, I am always a little bit hesitant to try new concealers because a lot of concealers don't work for my dry under eyes. Even in the summer, my under eyes tend to be dry, and therefore it shows texture when it dries down, and it's just a mess. So there are only a few concealers that I actually like. I'm going to go in and with my sponge and pat that down, push it in, and then I'm also going to go here and blend that out a little bit. It does not completely cover my hyperpigmentation, but it does help to camouflage it a little bit. Now we're going in with the foundation. I mixed up my foundation way before I should have. I'm just going to use what I call the butt of my blending sponge and just do a very light layer of foundation. The Camo CC Cream is one of my favorite foundations. It is definitely my favorite drugstore foundation. In recent years, I have not used a lot of drugstore foundations because I found this Camo CC Cream and I don't want to deviate from that. I do have the Sephora Best Skin Ever, which I do like. Again, I bought that when it was 30% off, and it made it very, very affordable. There are a couple of foundations that I do want to try from the drugstore. The newer formulated Maybelline Superstay. It's like a dewy. It's either dewy or has a little bit of glow to it or whatever. If you like a illuminating primer, I do like the L'Oreal Lumi Le Glow Skin Tint. Took forever to come out, but I like to mix this. I will usually, because I have a lighter shade, I usually mix this with things to make them lighter, use them with foundations that are too dark for me, but right now I don't have any of those because we're coming up on the tail end of summer and I do have more color on my skin. Some of the more popular drugstore foundations are more skin tints, and I am a medium to full coverage person. I have things I want to cover, but if I could find a good enough color corrector or concealer that would camouflage these things a little bit better, then maybe I could go with a skin tint or a tinted moisturizer or something like that. If it seems like I do this for a really long time, it's because I do. I want to make sure everything is pushed into my skin and it's not laying on top of my skin, because that's where things tend to get a little cakey. And the sponge will take the excess off of your skin and just help to do a really pretty blend. My sponge is from DSMD. They are $5 when she has her 50% off sale, which is, I think around Black Friday is when I bought these. I bought 6 of them, and they've lasted a really long time. But I believe they're 50% off when they're on sale, because I think they're $10 normally. I'm not paying $10 for a beauty sponge. I will not. Not when I can buy others that I like just as well. The e.l.f. beauty sponges are so good, and I love them. I actually have a box of them. They come to, well, you can buy just one, but I buy the 2-pack, and you can buy them in 2-pack, and I think they're like $6 or something like that. They could be more than that for the 2-pack. Don't quote me. I'm going in with my cream bronzer. This is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in Golden Days. I did rehome all of my little putty blushes and bronzers. If you're new, I just find them way more user-friendly in these tins. Now, if I had it to do over again, these are the 1.5 ounce. 1.5? 1.5 ounce? I'll put it up on the screen. And I would just get the 1 ounce, because they are still wide enough to get a brush in. I just don't feel like those little jars that these come in will allow a brush to get in there. I'm about coming up on the end of the time where I can use this, because once winter hits, the warmer bronzers just look really weird on my face when I don't have the color on my face that I do during the summer. For my blush, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Blush Stick. This is in the shade Floral Majesty. I have a couple of others that are very illuminating. They're more of a blush lighter. This is a little bit creamier. So I'm going to go in, and I use a brush to do this. And this is more of a corally pink. It's very pretty. Just do that. I don't like to put these straight on my face. I just feel like they blend out better by applying them with a brush. And that looks a little crazy, but we're going to go in with the sponge, and I'm going to blend that out and blend that bronzer and that blush together. I do love a blushy look, though. I think it makes you look healthy. Blush to me was never one of those things that I really thought about. I only had, before I started my channel, I only had like one blush. One or two. I had two blushes. I had a pink, and then I had one that was more of a neutral rose shade. The e.l.f. Always Rosy, which is Holy Grail. Holy Grail. And I just used them because that's what I had. And I didn't really put much thought into blush. Well, now I am a big follower of the blush is life hashtag, because I love blush. I never thought that I would love blush almost as much as I love eyeshadow. And that's saying a lot, because I love eyeshadow. Now I'm going to go in and powder in my T-zone, and I'm only going to powder in my T-zone. And I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me. This is the pressed powder in translucent, I believe, 100 translucent. And that is what it looks like. And I'm going to use a brush. I only use a brush under my eyes because it doesn't pick up as much as a puff. And I do stipple it on and then brush the excess away. But it gives you less product under your eyes than a puff would. But for the rest of my T-zone, I'm going to use a puff. These just come from Amazon. They come in a pack of, I think, 10. And I'm just going to really go in and blur those pores and set that makeup down. Because it is summer, I do tend to powder a little bit more because my nose and my chin do get a little shiny at the end of the day. Tell me your favorite powder for setting your makeup, because I'm always on the lookout for a nice powder. I have a lot of loose powder. I don't have very much pressed powder. Like, I used to always only use pressed powder because loose powder was messy and I didn't want to mess with it. But I am a loose powder person, but I do like pressed powder for setting around my T-zone. I feel like it blurs a little bit more. And that is just a personal preference for me. You use what works for you. And now after that, do I need to go in with a powder bronzer and a powder blush over this? No, I don't. Am I going to? Yes, I am, because that's what I do. Because I don't powder the outer portions of my face, I do like to set it down with a powder bronzer and a powder blush. That's just what I do. This is the e.l.f. powder bronzer in Forever Sunkissed. And I love this bronzer. This is my oldest bronzer in my collection. And there's not even a freaking pan in it. Just going to apply that exactly where I applied my cream bronzer. Except for now, I'm going to go a little bit up on my forehead. Just a little bit. I don't really bronze. I don't contour my forehead per se because I have a low forehead. But I do like to have a little bit of sun-kissed goodness up there, and then a little bit across my nose. Now, in the winter and fall, do I do that? No. But in the summer, I like to do that. And because I just washed my brushes last night, I wash my brushes every Friday night. And I did not wash my brushes last Friday night because I was off Friday, and it threw everything, my schedule, my normal Friday things didn't happen. So I did not wash my brushes last week. So I just washed them last night. I'll put a picture up here. Way too many brushes. I do makeup just about every day. There might be a day on the weekend where I don't, but for the most part, I do my makeup every day. So 2 weeks of brushes is a lot because I tend to not use the same brushes every day. Now my cream brushes, my cream product brushes, now when Sephora had their 30% off of their brand, I picked this up. And this is the Daily Brush Cleaner Spray. So what I do is I take a microfiber towel and I spray it on there. I usually do this on the top, and then I will clean it off. This is very stained. It is clean. It is just stained. And then on the weekend, they get deep cleaned because I don't like to put cream product brushes that have had cream product in them all week. I don't like to put them on my face. So I do a quick clean daily because I don't want that bacteria on my face. I am not prone to breakouts, but I will break out around my cheeks if I use dirty brushes. Since most of my face brushes are still a little damp, I'm going to go in with one that I don't really use much. This is a It Cosmetics. No, it isn't. It's a Farrah. Oh, I thought it was one of my It Cosmetics. And I'm going to use this small edge over here. I used this at some point, and I store it like this because this is the brush I use more often, and evidently I forgot to wash that one. But I'm going into this blush, and it is the Catrice Air Blush Matte, and it is in the shade Spice Space. I use this a lot. You've probably seen me use it before. I really love it. And I'm just going to put that on the high point of my cheek. So now I'm going in with my finishing powder, finish it all up, set it all down. I didn't spray my face after my cream products. I've been loving this. ColourPop, Pretty Fresh, Peptides, Niacinamide, Lock It In. I've been loving this. It was kind of surprising actually. But I'm going in with my finishing powder. I do use a finishing powder every day. You know, I have really long days and I want to make sure that everything is set down. But another thing that a finishing powder does is it makes everything look nice and airbrushed and blended out. And I just love the finish that it gives when I'm done. Did I tell you what I was using? The Fit Me, Maybelline Fit Me loose powder, loose finishing powder. This is in the shade 15 Light. The light is medium to me. The light medium that I have is medium. It looks darker and it's a little yellow, if I'm being honest. It is a little yellow. So probably what I will do when I'm done with this one, I will probably mix it with another light powder, or I'll just wait until next summer to use it, but I really don't want to wait. So as you can see, it's all nice and blended. It's all just airbrushed looking. And yeah, I have flaws, you guys. I have this. I have some spots over here. It's part of life. Do I love that I have them? No, I don't. But I also know that those are me. And those are a product of my sun worshiping when I was in my late teens, 20s, early 30s. All actions have consequences, you guys. And the consequences of me laying out with baby oil and my big silver blanket is this. What are we going to do for eyes? You know what? I think one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the palette and I'm going to do a little bit of smoky under eye, or at least kind of smoky. I'm going to take this brush. This is a dough color brush, and I think I'm going to go into that brown that we used for my outer corner. And I think I'm going to just very lightly go underneath my eye. You guys, we're not going anywhere today. I do have my granddaughter overnight later. She is about to be 10 months old. On the 10th, she's going to be 10 months old. Actually, by the time you see this, she's going to be 10 months old. Which is just crazy to me. It's absolutely insane. It has gone so freaking fast. Yeah, I like that. And now I'm going to grab a fluffier brush and just blend that out. Yeah, it just gives a little bit more drama. I think I am going to do an inner corner. There's a shade up here toward the top. And I don't think I'm going to spray it, because I do spray my shimmers sometimes. And I'm just going to put that just right in the inner corner, just to brighten up that inner corner a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty. I like it. Now for liners, I'm going to go with a brown liner, not a black liner. And I'm going to use, this is the NYX Glide On in Brown Perfection. They no longer sell this, but they do sell the NYX Epic Wear in Deepest Brown. And I really like that a lot. I have one, I've swatched it, I have not used it because I'm not going to open it until this one is gone. And I just tightline with that because it just gives it a little bit of definition without being, oh my gosh, she's got liner on. And then in my waterline, I'm going to use the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Frosting. I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. It doesn't translate on camera that I have anything in my waterline, but in person it is a little shimmery. It does just give a little bit of fancy to your eye look. And I love this. It's almost time to sharpen it. And I've never sharpened one of these pencils before. I have a big fat sharpener. I've never sharpened one of these pencils before. I wish it was retractable, but it isn't. Now, let me see what we're going to do with lips. I think I'm going to use a ColourPop liner. I'm going to use the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in BFF2. And it is a warm brown, not really brown. That is what it looks like. It's a warmer shade. And I really like it for a warm, neutral look. So that is what the liner looks like. It's just a really pretty warm liner. One of my favorite warm liners is the Maybelline Color Sensational in the shade Totally Toffee. Now, I finished that earlier in the year or late last year, and I have not repurchased it yet. I do have warmer lip liners that I really need to use and use up and figure out if I like them or not or whatever before I go purchase that. Because when I do, that's going to be the only warm liner that I use for fall. So I need to go through my collection, pick out all my warm liners, swatch them, see what I'm going to be using this fall. I'm going in with the Maybelline Color Sensational Lipstick. I love these, you guys. I really do. I went and purchased a bunch of the shimmery, the frosty type lips. This is in the shade 235, Warm Me Up. And it's just a really pretty warm lipstick. And I love the frosty. I love the frosty lips. You could do a cream lipstick underneath this and then just kind of put this in the middle of your lips just to make it look. You know what else I forgot to do, you guys? I usually put on the Too Faced lip injection before I do my makeup, before I do my eyes. Because by the time I get done doing my eyes and start doing my face makeup, my lips are all plump and luscious. And I forgot to do that. I forgot to do that. But that is very pretty and I like it. I also have the Naked Dare. And that one looks like that. This one I feel like has a little bit of pinky to it, which is odd because it is darker and warmer than this one, but it's really pretty. It's very pretty. And now I'm just going in with my brows. This is the LA Girl Brow Perfection, and it is just a clear brow gel. Although, as I've said, because I've used this before on here, on my channel, it's a little bit more like a wax. And I do this before my brow color, not after. And then while I wait for that to dry down a little bit before I go in with my brow color, I'm going in with the OG favorite. This is the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. It is the aqua teal one. That's my favorite one. And I'm going to put 2 coats. And that is 2 coats of that. I will, when I go to work and things like that, if we go out to dinner, I will layer my mascaras and I'll use something that's lengthening and separated and then something that's more volumizing. If I'm only using one mascara and I'm only doing 2 coats, then it's usually the Lash Princess. Unless I have my Maybelline Lash Stiletto, and then I will just use that. But right now, I did repurchase them because those are my holy grail. That's my holy grail mascara. I did repurchase. They are still in their packaging in my drawer over here because I need to use some other mascaras that I have open or that are older before I open that. And now I'm going to go in with my eyeshadow that I use for my brows. And my brow shade right now is, it's really dirty on the back. I believe it is the shade it is. It is the shade Beyond from Sydney Grace. But what I do is I just choose a brown. It could be Sydney Grace, it could be ColourPop, it could be whatever, as long as it is a warm brown shade, because that's what matches my hair. And I have to look in the mirror to do this, so we'll be back. The brows are done, so is the hair. The hair needed a little bit of floofing, so I did that. What I didn't do was do my final spray of my face. And I'm going to do that with the L'Oreal Infallible. This is the 3-second setting mist. Now, I'm going to spray it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on this. Now, normally, it's just 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. But this is gone now. I might have one more use in it. But since it is almost gone, it does spit a little bit more. My thoughts on this. First of all, I love it. I love this. I think this is amazing. But I think it's L'Oreal hairspray. I do. I think it is just L'Oreal hairspray. It smells like L'Oreal hairspray, or it smells like hairspray. I have seen people use hairspray as a setting spray. It makes me want to get my old Aquanet out and just spray my face with it. I'm not going to do that, by the way. This has 1.76 ounces in it, and the packaging is a little smaller than what I thought it would be. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't last very long. I've had this open for a couple of months. I don't use it daily. I'm kind of disappointed in the amount of product that's in it, the amount of product that I actually got out of it, the amount of uses that I actually got out of it. I'm not sure I'm going to repurchase it. I haven't decided because I do love it. I feel like it makes my makeup last. I work 9-hour days and sometimes they're 10 hours. But from the time I put my makeup on in the morning and then I get home from work, it's been almost 12 hours. So I do notice a difference with my makeup staying all day. What I'm wondering is if it's worth it. I'm not sure. I think it's $13. I will put it on the screen if it's anything different than that. But it says 36-hour defy transfer. I do notice a difference with my makeup not transferring when I use this. I like the aerosol part of it. It's very, very fine mist. It's not as wet as a pump setting spray, finishing spray, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not sure it's worth it. I'm not sure it's worth the $13. If it was on sale, it probably would be worth it because of the performance of it. But not on sale, I'm not sure, you guys. I'm not sure. I just wanted to throw that in there. We used the Morphe 350 Nature Glow. Do you need it? Probably not. If you have warm neutrals in your collection, then no, you don't need this. I'm just telling you that I like it. And I would definitely repurchase if something happened to it. I would repurchase. Let me know down below, what is your go-to palette for a warm neutral look? Something that's going to transition you between summer and fall, and maybe even take you into fall a little bit. Let me know below. Let's start a conversation. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. And until our next adventure, everyone have a great day, and we'll see you later.